Hola a todos. Hoy me gustaría discutir cuándo se necesita usar el pretérito y cuándo se necesita usar el imperfecto otra vez. Okay, guys, good morning. Um, Today we're going to be discussing again, when do you use the preterite? When do you use the imperfect? You just watched some videos over the uses of the preterite and uses of the imperfect. Okay, just a reminder that on your Schoology page there's preterite tense notes. Okay, and in there, in each one, and in the imperfect tense, preterite tense keywords and uses of the preterite. Okay, refer back to that. There's also the same thing in the imperfect tense notes, and also how to conjugate. Hopefully you're getting back in the habit of conjugating in both tenses. So today, let's look at some quick notes here. I want to try to make this quick. We're Thursday, March 26th. The time I'm recording this, I haven't made it published yet to you guys. Okay, so we're here in the preterite versus imperfect tense notes. This is just a picture of some notes from a year ago that I put up and listed up and kept up for a long time in the classroom. So it says, how do I know when to use the preterite or the imperfect? Okay, well, the first thing you need to do when we're doing activities like the one we're going to be doing here in a second that I'm going to go through with you is, first thing, when you find keywords, remember there are keywords that indicate the preterite, there are keywords that indicate the imperfect. Okay, remember words like ayer, anoche, la semana pasada, el año pasado. All of those things indicate the preterite because that's a specific point in time. Words like todos los días, cada día, cada noche, de vez en cuando, things like that, expressions like that indicate the imperfect because that's talking about a general, every day, every week, okay, from time to time. Okay, it's not pointing to a specific moment in the past, just saying kind of in general. So that would be the imperfect. Okay, you would use the imperfect conjugation of the verbs if it followed one of those keywords. All right, remember you watched the video on the 2 yes rules. The 2 yes rules. If you can get 2 yeses, you ask these questions. Can I write it on a calendar? And is the action completed? And if you can answer yes to both of these questions, then put it in the preterite. If not, then it's imperfect. So let me give you an example in English, okay? Yesterday, I was running. Okay, so can I write that on a calendar? You go, yes. Yesterday, it happened yesterday. I can put that on a calendar. But is the action completed? I was running. No, not really. We don't get any hint that it's completed. It could still have been going on. Okay, so that would say that. So I got to know. So I'm going to use the imperfect of to run. I'm going to change it to yo corría. Now, if I change this up, let me just change it up a little bit. Yesterday, I ran 6 miles. Okay, can I write it on a calendar? Yes. Is the action completed? Yes. Okay, because I said it in a way, I ran. Yo corrí 6 milas. So I ran 6 miles. So I put the action in the preterite. All right. The next thing, when do I use a preterite? We have an ongoing action. That means it would be in the imperfect because action is viewed as in progress or was ongoing. Okay, is always going to be imperfect. And that action is interrupted by another action. Preterite. Like when you say, I was driving down the road when I crashed. Okay, I was driving. That's imperfect. When I crashed, that interrupted my driving. That's preterite. Okay, and the word cuando is the key. Cuando means when. Okay, because we're going to start seeing statements like this. Okay, where you were doing something when, boom, this happened. All right, okay, we could say, we were eating dinner when grandma called. We were eating, that's imperfect because that action, we don't know when it began. Okay, but we do know it was interrupted by this single action that occurred. Okay, so nosotros comíamos cuando nuestra abuela llamó. Okay, we were eating when she called. When she called, that interrupted. So the action called would be in the preterite. So here, let's look at this little small example. Yo comía cuando I was eating. Cuando tú entraste, when you entered. Okay, the key word here is cuando. Everything that happened before is imperfect. I was eating. This was what was going on. Everything that happened after, the action that happened after, would be in the preterite because it interrupted what I was doing. Okay? Next use, setting the scene. We always use the imperfect to set a scene of our story of what we're talking about, of something that happened, like había una vez, once upon a time. Cuando era niño, when I was a child. De niño, as a child. Okay? So all of these things kind of set the scene of a story that we're like what we're going to look at here in a minute. Now, when we get to some specific things, like telling what time it was, so we're talking about something we did yesterday and we want to say it was 4:30, even though it happened yesterday, we have to use the imperfect of ser. Anytime we tell what time something happened, okay, we say eran las 6, eran las 4:30, it was 4:30. Era la una, we use the imperfect of ser to tell what time it was. If we're describing the weather, we use the imperfect. Hacía mucho calor. It was very hot. Okay? We use the imperfect of hacer. Hacía. Describing what someone was like, we use the imperfect of ser. Él era muy simpático. He was very nice. Okay? Telling how someone felt, use the imperfect of estar or sentirse to tell how someone felt. Ella estaba triste. She was sad. Okay. Yo no me sentía muy bien. I didn't feel very well. Okay. Just a general description. Okay. We could say, era muy bonita en la playa. It was very pretty at the beach. Because I could say, la semana pasada, yo fui a la playa. Era muy bonita en la playa. Last week I went to the beach because it happened last week and the action was completed. But if I want to say it was beautiful, then I use the imperfect of ser. Era muy bonita. Era muy hermosa. It was very beautiful. So I'm describing what it was like, so I have to switch to the imperfect. Imperfect is used for description and ongoing action. Preterite is used for completed action. That's pretty much it for the preterite. That's what it is used for. Telling how old someone was. We use the imperfect of tener. Él tenía 6 años. He was 6 years old. Yo tenía 11 años. I was 11 years old. Nosotros teníamos 3 años. We were 3 years old. Okay, so all this in red. If it's not one of these situations, then the action is viewed as completed in a specific time frame, a specific point in the past. It will be preterite. Okay, so to kind of make it simple, preterite, completed action in a specific point or moment, okay, is what we use it for. And it's a lot of times just for action. Imperfect tells ongoing action. We don't know when it finished, and it could still be going on right now. And it's used for description. All of this in red. Describing, telling age, telling what time it was, giving the background information. Okay, so hopefully that helps you clear it up, but let's look at an example. I'm not going to read this whole thing, and I'm going to have this up, this Recitos de Oro y los Tres Osos. Okay, I really like this activity. So it's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This is one way of saying Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You're going to do an activity in a little bit, and it says Rubiales y los Tres Ositos. And another way of saying Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. Okay, but this is just a little interactive thing. I'm going to do the first 2 paragraphs with you, work through it, and I want to do some explanation. So basically, you're just choosing. Do I choose the preterite comes first? Do I choose the preterite form of the verb or the imperfect form? Well, right here, do I choose hubo una vez or había una vez? Okay, that's we're trying to say once upon a time, and we just went over this. We're setting the background. Okay, so we would choose the imperfect. Okay, both hubo and había can mean there was or there were. They mean the same thing. But when do I know when to use it? So if I click hubo, it tells me, no, it's the imperfect. No es una acción, es descripción. It's not an action, it's a description. And it means there was. There was a time, once upon a time. And if I click the imperfect, it tells me bien. It means I'm correct. It's a description. Now let me just talk about hubo in había, since it can mean there was or there were. It can mean both those things. Either one of them can. This is preterite. We use hubo to talk mostly about events, like ayer hubo un concierto en el teatro. Yesterday there was a concert in the theater. But if I change that to había un concierto en el teatro, that means there used to be concerts in the theater, and there still could be today. All right. Another way of saying this is había is for descriptions, and hubo is to tell events. Okay, so we could say había mucha gente en el parque. There were a lot of people in the park. Okay, and that's giving description. Okay, or I could say hubo un tren en la estación. There was a train at the station ayer, and give it a specific moment. Okay, it all kind of comes back to, again, are we talking about a specific moment? Look for your keywords. If it is, use hubo. If not, it's more of a description like this is, giving background information, use había. All right, hopefully that clears it up. Okay, so let's get to the story. So we're going to choose había una vez tres osos que, do I choose vivieron the preterite or vivían the imperfect? Well, again, we're still giving background information. We're saying they used to live in the forest. There were 3 bears. Once upon a time, there are 3 bears that used to live in the forest. All right. And they're probably still living there today. We're not saying they lived just in this moment of the story in the forest, but that they used to live. So we're going to choose the imperfect, and that's telling me it's correct up here. Okay. It's a habitual action that they used to live there and probably still do. Okay, we have Papa Oso, Mama Osa, y Bebe Oso. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. Un día, Mama. All right, so look at this. Un día, one day. That's a preterite keyword. We're going to a specific point on the calendar. Un día, Mama Osa hizo. So I just told you that's a preterite keyword, so I'm going to choose the preterite. Bien, es el pretérito. It's the preterite because it's a completed action. On that day, she made una sopa. She made a soup. Chicken and rice soup. Y puso, again, this is all happening on that one day. Y puso, that's the preterite of poner or ponía. Well, if I choose the imperfect, it's going to tell me I'm wrong because this is a completed action. All right, it's a completed action happened in that moment. She put or placed 3 plates, tres platos en la mesa. Como ya fue or ya era, we have preterite and imperfect of ser, mediodía. Well, mediodía means noon. We're telling the time. Already told you. If we're telling what time it was, then we need to use the imperfect of ser. And that's what it's telling us. In order to express that hour or the time, use the imperfect. Los osos se sentaron or se sentaban. Well, when did they do it? Well, they did it at noon. That's a specific point. Okay, so I want to choose the preterite conjugation because it's a complete action. They sat down para comer porque tuvieron muchísima hambre or tenían muchísima hambre. A lot of hunger. They were very hungry. Now, is that an action or is that a description? That would be a description. Which tense do I choose when it's a description? I choose the imperfect right here. Not the preterite. It's going to tell me, no, it's imperfect. It's a description. They were hungry. Okay, so I choose the imperfect, and that's telling me, yes, it's not an action, it's a description. Papa oso probó, it means he tried. Is that an action or a description? He tried the soup. That's an action. And it happened on this one day. Where does it say one day again? Up here, right there, in this moment. So yeah, it's preterite. If I chose the imperfect, no, it's telling me no, it's preterite because it's a completed action. Okay, he tried the soup first. Y dijo, or decía? Are we saying he said or he was saying? Or he used to say? I think it's better to choose the preterite because, again, when you say something, that's an action.